Hey guys, I'm just hopping on this video to do a bandana for a pet out of a fat quarter. So I use most of the fat quarter because I have a very large dog. You may need to alter your size depending on your size pet and who you're making it for. But this is my fat quarter. So I've got the selvage end here and across. And I'm actually going to fold the far corner along that selvage edge. And I'm going to line this up because I need straight seams or straight lines to make my seam. So I'm going to trim here up, and I made this even here. Now, if your fat quarter is a little bit wonky, you may need to also cut this to make it a little bit more straight. But mine is in pretty good shape, so I'm just going to trim off this excess fabric here. And then I'm ready to go sew my bandana together. So I have this big triangle. And again, if you have a smaller pet, you'll want to make it a little bit smaller. Sometimes the fat quarters get a little bit uneven. So if you want a perfectly right angled, 60 degree, whatever bandana, then just use the lines on your rulers to make it perfect. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to sew all the way over, all the way down on this side. And then I'm going to sew all the way across. And as I get closer to this corner, I'm going to stop and leave an opening and then finish off my seam. I don't want to leave my seam open here for turning because it gets a little bit unstable when you leave that open and then try and top stitch that down. So I'm just going to do those two, this side all the way down and then all the way across, leave an opening here and then sew again here. Okay, so once you have those seams sewn and your opening left open, you can finish the bandana a lot of different ways. You can press your seams open, you can cut the corners, or you could just go ahead and flip it inside out and top stitch it and just be done. I am going to show you guys how I try to typically do it, although I will admit I sometimes just don't have time. And I just turn it right side out and close the opening and then gift it. But this is what I like to do. So I like to press my seams open, and then here's my opening. I like to use my hot ruler to keep that little hole intact, but get that pressed down so that it's open. I clip my corners. All of them, all three of them. And then I'm ready to turn it right side out. And I actually also use my point turner. This is my point turner to get in there and get some of those corners as well. And get them nice and pointy. But you're just going to sit here and you're going to turn it all inside out. Now, if you didn't leave enough space in your opening, it does make it a lot harder to get in there and really turn it out. So keep in mind when you leave that opening to leave enough space. But you're just going to get it turned out. And then the next thing that I like to do is come in here and roll my seams down. And make sure that I have that open seam in there is nice and fresh and crisp, and I get that ironed down. And then the last step is to get your hole that you left closed up. So again, you can finish this off a number of different ways. You can either hand sew it closed. You can top stitch just the whole area. So you can go forward, backward, over, forward, backward, make sure you really get that hole closed up. Or you could top stitch around the entire bandana. If you're going to do this and you're top stitching at any point in the bandana, try and get a thread color that matches your fabric. But I will say, like on this one, I'll probably just use white thread because one, it's for my dog and she doesn't care what it looks like. And two, that's what I have in the machine, and so it just makes it easier for me. It's really not going to show that much. It's going to just kind of blend in nicely. You could even do a decorative stitch all the way around it to make it a little bit prettier. So, I mean, there's a ton of things that you can do with this. But then once you've closed up that opening and done what you want to do, your bandana is ready. You're just going to tie these ends together, and I do 2 big knots. And again, you could do this a number of ways. You could put Velcro on it, you could put a button. I mean, you could do so many different things, but because my dog's used to it now, I just tie a double knot, and I make sure it's really tight, and then I just go and I put this right over her head, and then she looks super cute. And that's it. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. So if you'd like to make a double-sided bandana, it's actually pretty similar. You're going to put 2 fat quarters right sides together, and instead of just folding it over and making one clean line, you're actually going to straighten out all 4 sides of your fat quarter. And then once you do that, you're going to sew all the way around your big square, and then cut it apart across the middle, and then you're going to stitch on both. You'll then have 2 bandanas making. You're going to sew in, leaving a gap in the middle. And the reason I do it up here in the middle is because then once you have your bandana made, your opening is right here on the bandana. And so you're actually, that's going to be more hidden into the dog or the pet's neck area. And so you can top stitch it and not even have to worry about others seeing it or what it's going to look like. You can just, turn it out, top stitch it here closed, and then you're done. Double-sided bandanas are a lot of fun, but just remember that 2 fat quarters, right sides together, are going to make 2 bandanas. All right, have fun.